Biden administration seeks to ban Chinese Russian tech in US autonomous vehicles. This is your favorite half Chinese. And then we have also nanotech pioneer Wang Chongling leaves US to work in China full-time. Man, what a time for the US economy. Let's just start with this. And we also have something from Trump going on in a minute. So they want all that Chinese and Russian tech out of their vehicles. You know how much money it costs for all those companies to just reform all their models. And then they need to make a new assembly line with products that they did not work with or didn't even have or are not even produced in the United States. And if they are produced for a much more expensive price than normal. And then you have Trump going on with, oh, we need to have more tariffs on China. And I think Kamala Harris will not do anything else other than that, the same thing. And then you have Donald Trump telling Americans, well, we're not going to let Americans pay, but we're going to let Chinese people pay. Okay, I want Americans to understand, because it looks like a lot of you don't understand what a tariff is. A tariff is more or less an import tax on goods that are coming in. And you need to understand that taxes are never paid by a company, but always by the consumer. He is blowing smoke up your ass by saying, oh, yes, we are going to let China pay. So I want you to think of the following scenario, right? So Joe the plumber is coming and he's buying this plumbing device for his company, right? But this one is made in China. So what will he do? Counter. And he's, oh, yeah. Oh, hold on. This one, yesterday it was $10. Yes, sir, but now it is 20 because the tariffs. But China will pay. Here's the number of Xi Jinping. And he said, oh my God, last week I had to do the same again. All right. Oh, yo, Xi, how are you doing? And then Xi will reply to him, hey, Joe, plumber, how are you? Last time you also phoned me. What do you need from me now? Well, I was buying this plumbing thing, and it's 100% tariff again. Oh, yes, Joe. Calm down. No problem. What do I owe you? Oh, $10, no problem. You want me to pay it through WeChat or Alipay? I mean, this is ridiculous. It will never happen. So you are going to be screwed either way. It is you who is going to pay for it. It is never, ever going to be China. They just raised the price. It's just simple as that. That's what normal economy is doing. So let's go to Donald Trump.
Speaking to farmers in Pennsylvania today, Trump laid out another part of his economic agenda, saying he would put a 200% tariff on John Deere imports if the company moves production to Mexico as planned.
It's hurting our farmers. It's hurting our manufacturing.
What will that do? It will do nothing, because what we should do, or not what we should do, what Trump should do, he should look at, so what is the reason that John Deere is leaving? Well, it's very simple. Unsustainable economic environment. They cannot operate within the United States. So they will leave for cheaper production cost, right? They're making tractors and everything. All right, so now he is threatening their own American companies for leaving, right? But that's what a capitalist company is supposed to be doing in order to get more profit. So it's a 100 capitalist thing. Doing something like that is against capitalism. I want Americans to really, really understand that. So what he's doing is actually very tyrannical. And again, he will let the American people pay. So how does it work? So what if he puts 200% on all the tractors or whatever things that they are selling more, or whatever. They have a lot of specialized vehicles, so to say. So any company that uses them has to pay 200% more. So if a company pays 200% more for its tractor, then that farmer will have to raise its prices from whatever crop it's using it for or whatever animal it's using it for. And if the builder who using something to get the dirt out of the way or whatever the machine he needs for that, he also needs to pay 200% more. So their prices is also are going to be raised. And then the American consumer is going to have to pay for it. So nobody really is benefiting from it. The normal average Jane and Joan will go broke on these kind of things. Everything will make everything more and more expensive. That is how tariffs work. You want to place tariffs on China? It's fine. China's not going to pay for it. They still will be cheaper than any other product made in the USA. That's the whole problem. So the American is still forced to buy all the stuff from China because now they literally cannot afford anything American made, because in anything American made, there are also products coming from China, and the maker of the product, the producer, they need to pay a 100 or 200 or 30 or 40% more in tariffs than usual. So they cannot produce their stuff for the old price anymore, and the American will have to go and pay for that extra. So what is actually happening is that all the money of the most bottom of the society in the United States, the consumer, so to say, and I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but yeah, the capitalists are at top, right? So they will be having less and less money to spend. So in other words, their purchasing powers is going to drop to the bottom of the ocean, or more like a bottomless pit. So how do you think that China is going to pay for that? They're not. They're still the cheapest. You are now forced to buy their products because you cannot afford an American product anymore, because everything they use, something is made in China, and that will raise the price of those other products. And that is the problem with tariffs, right? And then you have the retaliation of China. Because of these attacks, China is allowed to retaliate. Now, mind you, China never ever started this whole thing. They only have retaliated. But if you go and look at the wheat grains that they were buying from the United States, it has been cancel, tons. So who is feeling that? The American farmer. And so it's not John Deere who's harming the American farmer. It is actually him who is harming them. And then he had something else to say. Well, China is, we made an agreement that they would buy all these agrarian products of us, but they stopped doing that. Yes, because it was an exchange for zero or very low tariffs, but you keep raising it. So you broke the own agreement, and they have the right to retaliate. And that is what's happening in a trade war. So the only loser in a trade war are the consumers. And if we look at the economy of China, because, you have Americans that feel the need to destroy their own economy just as long as China's economy hurt. I don't know why they have this kind of view, but there are kind of these people. If you want to be honest to yourself, go and look up how China's economy is doing. It doesn't hurt them, right? Those are little minor setbacks. What it does to them is that people like Wang Chongling is heading back to China as a pioneer of nanotech, and is going to help China now to make their own supply chain in probably even smaller nanometer things, whatever it is they do. I'm not a tech. I have no idea how these things work. So you're losing on all fronts. You're losing on all these scientists, because let me tell you something, everything what happens in Silicon Valley, those are not European Americans. The European American might be a CEO or whatever, but the scientists doing all the work are mostly Asians, and a big chunk, if not the biggest chunk of those Asians, that group of Asian of engineers and scientists are Chinese. And your government is going after them with, I believe it was named the Chinese Initiative or the China Initiative, after the scientists that are working for American companies to help them raise their products and be competitive in the rest of the world. And you're chasing them out of your own country. So you're chasing out the brain, you're raising the price of all your products. What is it that you want? You literally are destroying your own economy, and you have some of the Americans, but China will feel it. I want you to really go and look at the Chinese economy and look at the numbers and see how much it hurts them. It doesn't. It doesn't. They have a 1.4 billion consumer market. They have built up a consumer market. They are having the biggest purchasing power in the world. A lot of American companies are doing better in China now than they do back at home in the United States, because most Americans, as you know, are just broke. They are under debt. They're living paycheck to paycheck. You have people working 40 hours, living on the street.
I'm homeless. I work a full-time job, 40 hours. And can't pay to live here.
That's insane. You should not be living on the street when you are working 40 hours. You should be coming home and not even have to think about the rent and order something nice to eat, or bring your spouse out for dinner and don't have to worry about anything. That is what a 40-hour work week should look like. Right? When your friends call, oh yeah, let's go dinner, let's go do this. Oh yes, your kids want something. Well, no problem, we buy it for you, right? And go on a vacation 2-3 times a year. That should be a 40-hour work week. But even that is not possible. People living in their car or are literally living on the street. That's so ridiculous, and blaming left and right, but it's the system that you're in, the game that your politicians are playing. That is why the most Americans are losing. The only ones who are winning are the big dogs of the stock market, and that is why they're always telling you and blowing smoke up your behind and telling you, oh, you look at the stock market, our economy is doing great. Stock market is nothing of an economy. An economy is Joe the plumber buying this and the shop giving him this, and he is giving money in return. That is economy. It is not buying back stocks, shorting companies. Who does that? Who will allow shorting in your own country? It is literally go ahead and try to destroy all these companies. That's insane. But that's where the money is, in the stock market. All right. That is what they're doing. They're not working for you. They're working against you. They don't bring anything into your economy and sucking it dry. And that is why the average Joe has to work 40 hours and cannot afford to live there, because the money that he is making or Jane is making is being sucked all the way to the top, not even to the CEOs, but to the shareholders. And now you have to start to think, why is it that this shareholder that probably never ever set foot in your store or whatever job you are doing and never done anything in the job gets more money than you? And then some people will say, well, but he puts money in it. And then what? You are putting the labor in it. You are the literal engine of the company, the heart of the company that makes it that everybody can earn money. So why do you need to get the least money? And then you have all these candidates that are trying to destroy your life by raising all these tariffs. Why do they want to raise these tariffs? That is what you should start to think about. What is their deal about it, right? If it's so bad, I mean, everybody can count now that it will destroy the entire nation. Well, how about 35 trillion in debt? That is how they are paying for it. And that is why Americans should stop this whole madness with, oh, we need to borrow. Oh, yes. And then the next time we are going to pay the military complex another 800 billion or 900 billion, whatever the new figure will be. That's insane. You don't need it. America has no enemies. Zero. In fact, the world's enemy is the United States. If you don't believe me, that's fine. Go and talk with the people in Africa. Go and talk with the people in South America. Go and talk with most countries in Asia. And every single one on the ground will tell you they are not your enemy. But in fact, it is your nation that they are afraid because they are acting in a certain way. This is reality. Nobody ever attacked the United States, right? No, not a single communist country ever tried to attack the United States. Not even in the Cold War. So there you go. You don't have enemies. All the enemies that you so-called have are either imaginary, like China, or like you could make a case that Russia has become your enemy because you made them an enemy. Before there was nothing. I mean, just think of it. Hillary Clinton and Obama had that reset. You know, that they even have a nice picture with that reset button. And why was it necessary to drag them into a war where they're taking, again, the tax money of you and bringing that to the military complex? And then you have all these banks, your private banks, are confiscating the money of Russia and they are borrowing it to Ukraine. And not a single American is profiting from it. But when the war is going to break out and soldiers need to be sent to the front, it will be your children that they will be sending, not the children of the bankers. It will be your children that they will be sending. And then they will raise again because they need the inflation to keep this machine to run. You need to start to wake up because, for one thing, I'm not just saying this for you, but I'm also looking at how the world is responding, and you're trying to drag the entire world into a World War III. And I don't mean you as an individual, but your country is trying to. Everybody in the Netherlands is now convinced that we are going to have a war, a huge war. Everybody in Europe, most in Europe, are convinced this is going to happen. And this is why the Americans need to start to wake up to the fact, like, what has China ever done to you? What is it exactly that China has done to you? So China didn't come to the United States and say, oh yes, I'm going to steal all these jobs. I mean, that's not feasible, right? What the problem is you live in a capitalist system and they need to expand. How do they expand? By driving down the cost of production. And your wages are too expensive, the rent of everything is too expensive, and everything has to become too expensive in the United States. So they will go outside of their country where they can produce cheaper. And then they will bring it back into the country, and they will not even let you benefit as an American citizen. Because, I mean, let's face it, Nike is selling shoes of 400 or 800 euros. And it's insane for a small piece of leather. Even the most simple American can count that little piece of leather is never worth the price of $800 or $400, whatever the price it is that they're asking for it. And it is being made by people who are getting paid the lowest price, because otherwise they would be in the United States. And this is the whole problem. So all captured in one. If you want your economy to thrive, you need to change the system, the current system, on how it is. You cannot go around and punish companies. This John Deere, they got a reason why they will be leaving. Now you're going to punish them. I don't know how big they are, but Trump is messing with them, so they probably are pretty big. So why are they going to Mexico? That's the first thing. Why can we keep them here? What is wrong with our economic ecosystem that all these companies will leave? Well, that is the thing that we need to change. How can we change it? Well, I can give you a hint. For one thing, all the places to rent is way too high in price. If the rent is so high for me to rent a little shop, how can I even do any good business? And that is why many also are closed. And then when you got all these products are also way too expensive because of certain things that I'm also mentioned before. That's not the only thing, but these things are happening. And why do the people in America, why are they broke while many of them are just working? I mean, Americans are not particularly the most laziest people, right? So they're working their ass off, but they're not having anything that's beneficial to them while they're doing that. I mean, some just come by and many are just living paycheck to paycheck. So what are you actually doing it for? You need to start to understand. And then these politicians are riling you up for another war. You should learn from your old mistakes. You can say, okay, Iraq was a mistake, Vietnam was a mistake. Don't you know that they had the same propaganda towards about Vietnam as they have now about China, and the same way of propaganda they had about Iraq as they had about China and Vietnam? You need to start to wake up before you are in another hot war, because that's the only thing that is going to be left very, very soon, because everything else is exhausted. Because you need to understand the strategies of wars, right? You start to sanction, you start a trade war, and when these things are exhausted, which it seems not to help against China, because China just hobbles on, it just goes on and on and on. There's only one solution left, and that is war with another nuclear power. A war that you cannot win, according to the Pentagon. They already did those war games. They lost 18 out of 18, or it was 17 out of 18, and one was a draw or something that they say. Well, I think they also lost it, but they were too embarrassed to tell you. And they are friends with two other major nuclear powers that all need the support of China for their own survival, namely North Korea and also Russia. And China also needs them to survive for their survival. It is not going to happen. You are fighting against the three of the biggest armies in the world. Not to mention, they have their own resources. Not to mention, they have their own production lines. Why is it that you want that? It's mind-blowing that there are people in America that really would want it, and then they come into my comments and say, oh, we can win. You cannot win. And even if you win, you are still losing, because in the United States nothing will be left. Nothing. So maybe nothing will be left in China also, but you also cannot win. What's the point? Start to think how we can cooperate and coexist like before. Because before it wasn't a problem. It was only a problem when China started to rise on top. China is 1.4 billion people. It's supposed to be a bigger economy than the United States. It wouldn't mean that the Americans would eat less because of China getting bigger. It is your own system that you need to change. There are a lot of flaws. It is 2024. You should change that and make your own economy that your companies are like, nah, I'm not going to China or to Mexico. I'm staying here in the United States because I can produce my stuff here and I'm going to give some jobs to Americans. That is the economic ecosystem that you need to start to create. Not all these punishment around the world. The world is looking at you guys like, what are they, tyrants? Right? How can you accept that your own well, maybe he becomes president, it's not sure yet, is going to punish your own companies like this, but not even punishing them, he's actually punishing you, right? For reasons I already explained. I mean, seriously, start to think before it's too late. Because, yeah, the way it's heading now, is not the way that anybody in the world wants it, because everybody's going to lose because of that, right? And that's just it. Just say it. Otherwise, I keep on ranting. I hope people start to understand what is going on. I really, really want people to start to think about and really think like, man, that 200% for Joe the plumber, Joe is going to pay it. Because you know what's going to happen? Joe is going to phone Xi Jinping, and there's somebody is coming on the line is going to say, I'm sorry, Joe, but Xi is having dinner. Call back later. Toot, toot, toot. That's what's going to be happening, right? Sorry, I have to break it to you. I hope you understand. This is no hate to Americans. I just want you all to understand what is going on. Considering all these things, you have a brain drain. You know, it's ridiculous. You're the richest country in the world. You should have the top schools. Every single American should be able to go to college and finish college and not even have to think about, oh, I have 100 or 200K in debt or whatever. That's a ridiculous situation. No wonder people don't want to go to college anymore. No wonder they all want to be a YouTube star, because a YouTube star, all you need to is a cheap mic and a cheap camera, and you can start and you have no debt, right? And you know, I mean, it's just dreadful. Just think of your situation, how it really is, and tell me I'm lying, right? Anyway, let me know what you all think of this in the comment section, but please keep it respectful. We are not uncivilized barbarians, unlike this person here. No, oh yeah, it's there. Unlike this person here, right? I shouldn't say that because she's the brand ambassador of Huawei. But yeah, let me know what you all think in the comment section. And if you enjoyed the video, then please like, share, and if you have not yet, then follow. This was your favorite half Chinese, and as always, have a great day.